to my channel. This is Lindy, aka Paleobarbie. Welcome and welcome back. Today, you're going to get two videos today because I think it's important to get this topic out there with everything going on in the news, because people are losing their minds, and I want to show you guys stuff that I do on a daily basis to help prepare for when there's a food shortage, or if there's a natural disaster and you can't get to a grocery store, things like that, and how I stay keto during that time as much as possible. I've been keeping a small stockpile of food for a long time. As some of you guys know, I grew up in New Orleans, and I had lots of hurricanes. We would always have to fight people at the store for bread and water and milk and all that stuff, and it's just chaotic and stressful and all the things, right? So I'm going to show you some things that I keep on hand all the time for both, like storm preparing, but also for like the situation that we're getting ready to be in, where people are already like buying up all the toilet paper, for which I still don't understand, but I guess they think that if they're quarantined, they're going to need extra. They don't want to run out. I understand that part, but leave some for the rest of us, right? So I'm going to show you some things that you can do on a regular basis to prepare without having to go crazy at the last minute, because at the last minute is sometimes not going to work because it's not going to be there, right? Like we're seeing with some places with toilet paper. I've already seen people buying up water and things like that. Now, water-wise, for this kind of situation, buying it up, I understand it on a regular basis, but it's not a storm, so we're not going to run out of tap water. The water's not going to get shut off. So as long as you have working water, you're okay. But for storm situations, storm season, I always recommend having bottled water, stashes of water, things like that. But let me show you some things that I do and that I keep on hand. One of the things I recommend is, if you can afford it, a small deep freeze, or a big deep freeze if you can afford it. I didn't have one for years, but I've had one probably for 5 years now or so. Hello, you can see my shadow. And in a storm situation, this wouldn't be good, because if your electricity goes out, well, unless you have a generator, but not all of us can afford a generator, right, to keep all of this stuff on. But it will stay cool and okay to eat for a couple of days, right, as long as you don't open it a lot. But in the situation that we're in this, coronavirus situation, if stores are, if we're quarantined and you don't want to go to the store, or if you're just supposed to not go to the store if they're closed or whatever, a freezer full of meat is always a good thing, and veggies. So I always keep a bunch of stuff in here. You can see I have bone broth in here too. I've got some meat and veggies in here. I've still got bones for more bone broth down there. Low carb tortillas for the hubs. And I'm going to restock up tomorrow for my normal grocery haul, so I'll have some more meat in here too. There's some more meat underneath those smart buns. But I do keep meat in my freezer all the time, so that is something. And I used to always have deer meat too, but nobody hunts anymore in our family, so since my dad's gone, we don't get any deer meat, but we would always have that in here too. So that is the freezer. You would want to keep a little bit of stuff in there. And then the most important thing for me, besides eating, is to have coffee. So always make sure you have coffee, a stockpile of ground coffee, which I don't always do a good job of that, but I do have some on hand in my pantry, so just in case. And I will be buying some more tomorrow. So coffee is something, especially on keto, if you drink coffee or tea, you got to have your coffee. I do have a big stockpile of tea, but coffee, I need to get a little bit more. But that's one thing I do recommend, is your coffee. My messy pantry. So you guys have heard me talk about my Thrive Life foods. I talked about it on yesterday's video. I've been using them for years, but even before I was keto, when I was paleo, even before I was paleo, I was using them. But it's just, like I said, it's an online freeze-dried grocery store. They have vegetables, fruits, just about anything, meats, just about anything, basic things that you can think of. It's all freeze-dried and shelf stable. Most of it stays good unopened for 25 years, but I do use a lot of it, so I rotate it. So this is these on my pantry shelf are the ones I use the most, so I keep them up here. I've got my peppers, I've got asparagus, I've got tomato powder, I've got mushrooms, there's some onions back here, different things like that. So those will stay good open for like 2 years, but the little cans will get used up faster, so you don't have to worry about that so much. Another thing that I do recommend is keeping some nut butters on hand for you or the kiddos. That's a good source of protein. It's a good source of fat, especially on keto, but it's shelf stable, right? So it's very good to have on hand. I like almond butter. My husband will eat that, but we also keep, that's the allergy-free one that I brought home from church. We have the Centella. We have some other peanut butter down here for the kiddos. But coconut milk is something I keep on hand because I use it in my coffee, but it's good milk replacement if you need it for different things. So I keep canned coconut milk quite often. I keep canned meats, guys. So we're gonna go from the good to the not so good, right? That you can keep on hand. So canned salmon and canned tuna would probably be your best choices for keto or for any diet, really, any one. Best sources of protein to keep on hand, to keep shelf stable and use all the time too. For if you're going to have a canned meat, these would be your best bets. I buy these almost every time I go to Aldi, and I rotate them out. So I keep some on hand, rotate use some, get some more. I constantly keep a little pile just in case, because this is something we can open up and eat if we are not able to go to the store and we need to make something, right? So then you have your Spam and your canned ham. Actually, let's start with the sardines. They're kind of out of order here. Sardines are your next best after these, I think, or probably even with these. These are a great source of protein, and I know some of you are like, I hate sardines, but if it comes down to eating sardines or not having any protein because you ran out of meat and things like that because of a situation, these will do the job. Okay, so you'll be able to get them down in that instance. Okay, so now let's do the ones that aren't so good. Your Spam and your canned cooked ham. Now these are, this one's expired though, I'm just showing you this one, but I'll talk about that in a second. But the ingredients are not going to be as good, you guys, obviously. You know, this is going to have junk in it, right? Look at all that stuff. That's not good for us. But in an emergency situation, it's okay. It's a temporary thing, right? You know, obviously this is a better choice. What are the ingredients in this? Salmon and salt, right? Tuna and water. Maybe salt. I can't see. No glasses on. There we go. Vegetable broth, I think, is in that one. But anyways, so those are not going to be your best choices, but obviously it's okay to have them on hand for emergencies, which is what only reason I will ever eat Spam, you guys. I know a lot of people like Spam, but I just can't. It's for emergencies only. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. Expiration dates. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, you know, don't go by. You do what you want to do. But I've done a lot of research on these best buy dates. So a best buy date is not the same thing as it's expired, it's bad, it's gross. A best buy date is what they say this product is best used by this date. The best quality, best flavor, all those things are best used by this date. Now, if you want to throw it away by this date, that's great. If it's opened, I would suggest doing it. But since it's not opened, it's in a sealed can, I will keep this probably another year or two and then maybe replace it. But it is, they're good much past these best buy dates. If you've ever seen any videos, you can look them up on YouTube, of them opening up MREs and things that have been, and different canned foods that have been stored for a long time. Most of them are still good. So just FYI on that. Just some info that you may not want to know, but there you go. But I always keep the canned meats on hand. So I've also got my, you know, I said my freeze dried. I'll show you that in a minute. If you don't make bone broth, keeping some bone broth like this, pouches, or the kind that comes in the containers is always good to keep on hand. This one only has 4 in here, but you know, you can buy more and keep it on hand for a while. There's some more coffee up there. I've got all my, this is just my normal pantry stuff, you guys. This is not really stockpile or anything, but I just, where my normal pantry stuff is. I do have some stuff for my science classes up here. So there is a bunch of salt up here. It's not pink salt, but if I got in a pinch, I could use it. And okay, so here's over the rest of my stockpile. These are my big cans. I don't eat corn, but my grandkids do. So I've got corn, broccoli. This is chopped chicken, just chicken. I've got berries. I've got celery or peas. What's down there? More chicken. Strawberries. We've got even baking soda. I've got carrots. I've got bread mix so I can make bread if needed. Got to have the salsa because, you know, ain't giving up my salsa in shortage. And then I've got, this is the cheese I showed yesterday, freeze-dried cheese. And then I've got, like I said, there's a bread mix down there. There is some beans down here. It goes all the way back to the back, a couple layers back. I've got dried beans. Now, I don't eat beans anymore, but I keep them on hand because in an emergency, if I run out of all my keto food, I'm gonna eat some beans because, you know, we ain't gonna starve. I've also got a large bucket down there that has rice in it. I don't eat rice, but I keep it, and it's got oxygen absorbers in there. It's a sealed lid so that if we ever need it, it's there. And those are the kinds of things, you know, I would keep. I also keep on hand. I always like to have my spices pretty stocked to keep on hand as well. Keep all my nuts in the freezer or in the fridge so that I have them stay good for longer. That way they'll be shelf stable longer for us in these situations. But also, I mean, they just stay fresher, and I keep them in there for that reason. Don't judge the cabinets, but I wanted to show you also the tea stockpile. These two things are full of tea. There's a box there. There are two boxes back here. This is full of tea. This is full of tea. There are other boxes of tea back there, all stacked up. And then there's also some little packets here and there. Also have this full of tea bags. This full of tea bags. This is loose tea. So we have plenty of tea stockpile. We like tea anyways, but we always have tea on hand. And if I run out of coffee, I've got me some tea, so I'm good with that. Not as good as caffeine-wise, but it will do the trick in it, you know, if I don't have any, for sure. So that is my tea stockpile, and now I gotta go buy some more coffee. So I always try to keep some sort of collagen on hand, and or protein powder, so that I have something to mix up with a powdered milk if we don't have it, or just water, or my almond milk. If we have electricity and I have almond milk in the fridge, or my canned coconut milk, I'll mix it with that. But yes, that is something I keep on hand for protein, for collagen, for all those things. All right, guys, another thing I wanted to say about the freezer. Did you know you can freeze cheese? So if you buy blocks of cheese, you can freeze them in your freezer, or if you shred cheese, you can freeze it in your freezer bags. So that's something you can keep on hand ahead of time, for like keep a little stash of it, and then keep what you're using in your fridge, and that way you can rotate it out every once in a while. And that's something you can keep on hand that keeps you keto, right? So really that's my basic stash. I do also have a giant bucket, like the size of the rice, of powdered milk. I don't drink milk, but I keep that on hand because, you know, I have grandkids. I have a son that's, you know, 20 that drinks milk, and in case of emergency, we'll have a backup milk supply, and it's unopened, so it's 25 years it'll stay good. So I do think ahead of time. It's just because of where I was, you know, I grew up around hurricanes. We did this, it was a regular thing, to have to fight at the store, and I don't want to have to fight at the store, especially for stupid stuff, right? But in case of emergencies, you want to be prepared. It's not like crazy. I mean, I know I am a prepper, but I'm not like I'm prepping and I have a bunker under my house kind of a prepper. But it's very smart to be prepared, guys. Why wouldn't you want to be prepared? We prepare for our future. We prepare for our retirement. We prepare for you know, our kids' college funds and things like that. Why wouldn't we want to prepare for a natural disaster or a virus or something like that, right? So it's not crazy to prepare, and it's not that hard. every time you go to the grocery store, get something and put it away. One thing. And then you have a little stockpile. Because it's just smart. It's smart to do it. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful for you guys and you find value in it. If you have any ideas or things that you do at home to help prepare, or my arm's shaking, so I gotta get off here soon. Let me switch arms. Okay, that's not gonna work. Anyways, if you have any ideas, put them down in the comments below. I would love to hear your ideas, and I will talk to you guys soon. Also, I'm gonna link Thomas DeLauer's new video up above because he has a great new video about this particular thing, and he has a lot more information about shelf-stable foods.